George Stuart began life in show business as the owner and operator of a showboat, traveling through the canal system of Ohio with a professional minstrel troupe. However, Stuart's showboat sank in 1869, but George then decided to build a permanent theater. That building in Nelsonville, Ohio, became Stuart's Opera House.
My name is Brian Costco. I'm the marketing director here at Stuart's Opera House and the Nelsonville Music Festival. Stuart's Opera House originally opened in 1879 and was open until 1924, so just under 50 years or so in its original incarnation. In that time, this theater would have hosted both traveling theater productions and shows, vaudeville, any kind of touring productions, but it also would have been the center of the community as well. So in addition to traveling acts coming through here, which they would have, both national acts and more smaller regional touring acts that would tour coal towns in Southeast Ohio, West Virginia. They would also have high school graduations, union meetings, gatherings of any sort that were sort of community based. And the idea was that it wasn't just the theater, it was the place where everyone came together for events in town. So that is often why you would see opera houses, including Stuart's, right kind of smack in the middle of town, sometimes even above the town hall or above another prominent building in the space. In 1924, this theater closed, much like many opera houses at the time, mostly due to, pressure from movie theaters, radio, all of these kind of things. People weren't tending to go out to the theater as much as before. And it took until about the mid-70s or so when a group of people started to think that maybe this place could have a rebirth, could come back in a different form, started to kind of do a little bit of work to see what that would take. So in the 70s, meanwhile, I should mention too, that the entire downstairs of the theater space was still businesses and tenants. So you would have had still all of these businesses operating underneath the Opera House while this big empty space, historical space, was upstairs above them, not being used. And it took until the 70s, people formed the nonprofit then, which is still the same one that we use today. Though at the time they were called the Hocking Valley Museum of Theatrical History. Their idea was, since the theater was left in state so well, is that it could be used as a museum 4 theaters of this time, everything from stage sets to props and all that kind of stuff. And they formed a nonprofit, started doing a little bit of work when they could. And I always remind people that during this time, the theater didn't have elevators, it didn't have heating, air conditioning, fire codes, any of this kind of stuff. And everything that was in it was from the 20s at the newest. So some of it was even older than that. And so they would do stuff as they could and try to chip away at some of the things that they needed to get done. And then unfortunately in 1980, we had about $1 million fire in this building as well. And then of course that set everything back even further. And it wasn't until 1997 that we managed to reopen.
Among the relics lost in the 1980 fire was this old electrical panel. This video, courtesy of the Nelsonville TV cable company, shows a panel that was once considered state-of-the-art. Clearly visible here are the old blade-type switches and the cartridge fuses that were once common. Also of note is the huge rotary dimmer that was probably used to dim the house lights. Stuarts Opera House now presents performances from national and even international acts, in addition to serving as a showcase for local artists as well. For instance, the 1960s Nelsonville area rock band The Hitchhikers have been reuniting at Stuarts Opera House for an annual benefit concert on Memorial Day weekend in support of the local food pantry. And back in 2007, the area band, the DNR Studio Band, was featured in 2 live hometown showcase programs recorded at Stuarts Opera House with a live audience. Here's just a bit of Tuesday's Gone by the DNR Studio Band, recorded at one of those events.
It's an old Leonard Skinner thing. You may have heard it on the radio a time or two, a little thing called Tuesday's Gone.
Take me far away. I hear the wind blow outside my door. I miss my woman at home.
A few years back, probably about 5 years ago, we started to discuss plans for the future, and one of the things that we wanted to work on was increasing our space. Stuarts had hit a point where we've been growing so much over, since we reopened, that what was beginning to hold us back was capacity, was the ability to host all of this programming in space. And of course, there's some quirks that come with operating a modern theater in space in a building that was originally made in 1879. So we started a capital campaign for the Opera House to raise about $4 million or so, and that was done over a long period of time. It's still kind of just wrapping up, as you mentioned, but construction will be starting here soon, and that campaign was to cover renovations, and the idea was there's two main parts and then lots of little ones. That the lobby is going to triple in size. So currently our lobby, which we're in right now, does not hold anywhere near the same amount of people as upstairs. So whereas seating upstairs is for 395 and capacity is about 460 or so, the lobby for a seated event, say like a wedding reception or a meeting, maybe 50 to 75 people. So we have a lot of weddings and events upstairs and stuff, and we can't have receptions here. And so this new space will be 3 times the size. So it'll be able to hold not only more people for events, but when we have concerts, the crowd that fits upstairs will actually fit in the lobby, which will be a nice thing. But we'll also have a full catering kitchen, a brand new bar in here. Essentially, the infrastructure to be able to put on more events, both upstairs and downstairs. And then in addition to that, there's a building, which unfortunately we had another fire in this past April in 2015, which we're calling our Education and Production Center, that's located at 30 Public Square. And that space is actually part of the property the board of directors of Stuarts owns, but it was the part that we hadn't been using up until that point. So the first floor of that space had been a rental. Hocking College School of Art had used it for several years up until the fire, but the upper 2 floors were unused. So the plan is to completely outfit those so that we can use that facility and space too. A big focus on that's going to be educational programming. We've really expanded our arts education programs, both for K through 12 students, college students, and then we want to expand more into adult arts education programming as well for the community. So that'll be a big part of that. There's going to be a full-on educational and recording studio in there, space for after-school music programs, more space for meetings, smaller space for rehearsals, storage, all of these kind of things. So those are the two main focuses of the capital campaign. And we think as far as the future goes, those are the kind of things that are going to help Stuarts kind of continue to grow and adapt for years to come.
Now you say the plan is your lobby is going to encompass a lot of this first floor?
Well, yeah, the lobby will turn into will stretch across 3 storefronts. So 52, 46, and 36 public square will all be the lobby. So we're going to be able to, one, accommodate when we have a sold out audience, which we struggle with now, but we'll also be able to do a lot more events such as wedding receptions and small conferences and business meetings and whatever.
George Stuart's vision became a reality in 1879 with the construction of Stuart's Opera House. As we have seen, its fortunes have indeed ebbed and flowed over the years, but with a renewed focus on its role as a center for entertainment and education, its future has never looked brighter. And with the renovations currently underway in 2016, the stage is set for Stuart's Opera House to play an ever-increasing role in enhancing the lives of the people of southeastern Ohio for many years to come.